Alright, hopefully this is coming through okay. My mic in there. Alright, so it has been a little bit. As a reminder, we are doing my recreation of the map terminal in Halo Infinite, which I have named Terminus. I'll get into the naming around that probably later. I also mentioned it at length in a previous stream. So yeah, this is session 14, I believe. I think this is the longest it's been since I streamed, about 2.5 weeks, so we've made quite a bit of progress. So yeah, let's go ahead and walk through it. In the bottom right of your screen, you'll see the Halo Master Chief Collection terminal original map there for reference. This is not a one-to-one recreation. This is a Halo Infinite map above anything else. So yeah, what you're seeing in the bottom left is the Halo Infinite, or sorry, Halo 2 original version of this map. I'll try to go to the same perspective where he is so you can kind of get an idea. Made a lot of progress on the aesthetics, but really the biggest thing we've added since the last time I streamed is a working train. VidGames Pete, who has a YouTube channel and does a lot of really impressive stuff with scripting, I recruited his assistance for the train because it would have taken me forever to figure that out on my own, and he has been instrumental in getting the train functioning. So he's doing updates on the train. I do not take any credit for the train functioning. I merely picked the pieces. I said, these are the pieces I want to use because I sized the whole map around them. This is what I wanted to do. Could you help me out? So that's the extent of my contribution. He's done literally everything else. So you will see the train going by. It is operating correctly. However, it's moving very fast at the moment. Like quicker. The train is fast. It's a high-speed rail. But it's moving too fast right now. And he knows that. I know that. We're working on it. It's actually moving so fast at the moment that it doesn't actually kill you on contact, when normally it would. Because the volume that detects you in it goes by so quickly that it passes you before it sends the signal to kill you. We know all that. So, yes, there is a train running. It's not in its final form. So let's just cruise through the map here and kind of give you an update. It's been long enough I don't remember what was done. I've done a lot to the aesthetics of the map. Kind of playing around with a few ideas, but the overall geometry is done. And I'm confident enough that it's not going to change that I have put a lot of named location volumes in here. So you see in the bottom left, the motion detector there. We have named location of Overlook and drive downstairs. We're now in the garage. I know this is sticking out of the ground. I'm experimenting with something. Out here we have Rampart. This is kind of a ramp, so I decided to call it Rampart. East Yard over here. If you just hang out underneath this overpass, it's called Underpass. And I believe this is Depot right here. So yeah, named location volumes are big. All these little things you have to get done because there are bots. That's what you're seeing. There's bots playing on the map right now. They need those named location volumes so they can make callouts and things for you when you have teammates that don't have mics or bots that have teammates. Yeah, I really don't remember what was done. I know this plaza wasn't done, so I only finished this, like, yesterday. So, this plaza here took a lot of time to get right. It is as close as I could possibly get it to the original. That being said, I did take a couple of creative liberties. I did make it a little bit deeper. I felt like since the map is bigger, it could probably do with a little bit more depth. I'll possibly provide a little bit more cover. Not a ton, but you do at least can conceal yourself from enemies in some locations. It's now deep enough, but the overall shape is identical. The shape of the two basins as well as the planter boxes. And those are updated, or an accurate representation of how they were in the original, including this rock, which I went back and forth on because it looks out of place in the original map. And it still kind of looks out of place here, just sticking out of the cobblestone. But I managed to find a texture for the rock that actually I think fits pretty well. I don't even think this was done over here, which I'm still working on. But there's this little cafe area. I had more tables and chairs in here, but we ran into a dynamic object limit, so I had to get rid of some of those. Yeah, menu, like a fridge, sink. I think I did show you guys this already, so I won't spend too much time on this. Really just aesthetic stuff, trying to get the map ready for testing. And oh, there we go. I'll take that. I am using the new Bandit, which is a new addition since the Season 3 update. Season 3 update was both good and kind of a mixed bag for Forge. It had some desperately needed fixes, but seemed to have broken a couple other things, which is very frustrating for Pete, who's been designing the train. Oh, gosh. So, yeah. The garage I spent a lot of time on, really just filling in all the holes and putting textures on the geometry. That's really what I want to be doing today. Whoa, there's the train. I gotta say, the grapple shot for this map is amazing. Looks like I can grapple onto this rail and get up into the upper stories. Like, it's incredible. The grapple shot, like, totally makes this map 100 times more fun, which it already was a really fun map to begin with. So, yeah, that's kind of it. A bunch of little stuff that needs to get done. It's just a lot. Like, I don't realize how much. But yeah. I don't think I had this in here last time. It's kind of this, like, little, whatever, toll booth looking thing. Are you? Alright. So, yeah. Alright, well, I think I pretty much got you guys caught up. You can see a bunch of small aesthetic changes I made. Things to kind of make the map a little bit more dynamic and more to look at. It's a big map, so it is tricky putting detail in because you have only so much of a budget. And you don't want to spend too much in one area because then the rest of the areas look kind of bland by comparison. So, anyway, that's what I'm running into right now. I think there's an overall object limit to the number of just items you can have on the map, regardless of the dynamic budget or anything else. So, I want to be sensitive to that. I haven't reached it yet, but I know it's there. So, alright, I'm going to kill this guy, and then I'll hop back in the forge. Alright, let's get back in the forge. Yeah, and my Master Chief Collection on the Steam Deck is, like, crashing constantly. Which is very frustrating when I'm trying to make a faithful recreation. So, anyway. Should have a nice long stream today. I apologize if there's not going to be a ton of talking. I'm trying to, really trying to get the map to a point where I can put it in a beta mode. I'd like to get it beta tested. Obviously, I put bots on there and everything, but I'd like to have real people try it out, find any exploits or strategies, and see if, you know, you have a way that you imagine these things will go in your mind as you're designing a map, but until you get real people in there, it's tough to see. It's tough to know what works and what doesn't work. For example, pathing for different like various objectives. I don't want to capture the flag. For example, this map was really designed around one flag CTF. That's like what it was made for. Now it will play other game types as well, but one flag is like, this game is made for one flag CTF from the ground up. It's asymmetrical, like that's just what it's made for. Or assault, like really those like one-sided objective types. So what I want to do is make sure there aren't that some of the paths aren't too easy, and that there's like one specific path that's just really fast and easy and is the same one that everyone always uses. I want to avoid that happening because that makes the map boring. Because you play it 4 or 5 times and then that just becomes the strategy everyone uses. That's not fun. I want to have different paths, different strategies that have pros and cons to a point where they're used. They don't necessarily have to be used the same amount, but they're used in different situations. And it's not like one specific strategy is just always going to win or always be used. So. Alright, Logan says, woohoo, terminal stream. Yep, we are streaming. Finally. Alright, so I wanted to work on this little planter box here, which I think what I will do is actually... wondering why this is being weird. I can copy that, basically take the shape of just this back part. So it should be pretty easy to do. Let's see if I can get there before my game crashes. It's so finicky. Like, there were weeks where I could use the Steam Deck for this just fine. I could leave it up for hours and it wouldn't have an issue. But then for whatever reason, since the last couple updates to either Master Chief Collection or Steam OS, it's just been real finicky. It'll load up, but it'll maybe be loaded for 15 minutes and then freeze up and shut down. So I remodeled this whole area, so it's going to be tricky to... I already know this isn't going to be one-to-one. I keep things one-to-one where it makes sense, but for the most part, I designed this as a Halo Infinite map first. This is a Halo Infinite map. Above anything else. Alright, let's get rid of these. These. We can get rid of this and this and this. The reason I bring that up is because people ask, like, oh, is it a one-to-one remake? And it's not. It really isn't. And it really wasn't designed to be. It was never meant to be a one-to-one remake. All right, so these walls are long and these are short. It's kind of the opposite of what I have going here. So I really should have done this bit first, huh? So let's raise this up. 4 units, so 13.2. 14.2. Yeah. And then raise this one up. 15.2. 14.2. Your timing's impeccable. Need to kill like 40 minutes. Perfect. Thanks for hanging out. These are shorter. Folk Smash. Glad to have you. actually think this needs to be a little smaller, right? Yeah, definitely. Definitely like 1. Maybe like 1.2. That's good. Alright, and 1.2 for this one. How's the width look on that? Do I want it? Like so many controllers and things in front of me. Folksmash, someone said, someone used to remake Terminal the other day. I mentioned you, linked YouTube stream, and he got all excited. Oh, good. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate that. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. It covers about half the distance between the columns, which, again, I could probably, using warthogs and other techniques, figure out the exact size of that. But the exact size isn't as important to me as how it plays and its perspective in comparison to other landmarks on the map. So what's more important to me is if you look... Good grief. I have so many controllers. This takes up about... maybe not half, maybe a little more than a third. Which is, I think if I move this to there, that should be about it. That's what's more important to me. Ooh, this is not... This needs to be negative 135. Oh, these are all going to be off by 5 degrees, huh? Yeah.
Always
5. This needs to be down to 0.2. And this needs to be rotated 5. Rebuilding this map, I've really gained an appreciation for the importance of trigonometry. And how much I sunk. Cool. And I can make this a little bigger. I think like... Is 3 good? It might need to be more like 4. And fatal error. Cool. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's impossible to do this. My game keeps crashing. So annoying. Yeah, it needs to be more like 5. It needs to be quite a bit bigger. And it has to be rotated another 5 degrees. Alright, come on. There we go. And this, same deal, 5 units. And rotated 5 degrees to 135. And I can put it here. Bring it down 5 units. Actually, that's pretty good. And this was what, 2? 1.2? You know what? I'm just going to use this piece right here. There we go. Yeah, sorry, it's been a couple weeks. I have been working on the map. As I said earlier in the stream, the train has actually been the main focus the last couple weeks. But credit where credit is due, I had very little to do with it. I just do the testing and the critiques. I've actually recruited help from VidGames Pete, and when the stream is over, I'll add. I mean, it's just VidGames Pete. That's his. You know, I'll put it in the chat actually. VidGames Pete. That's his gamer tag. That's also his YouTube channel name. He does a lot of really great scripting tutorials. So I reached out to him, knowing that this terminal remake train was going to be a real hindrance for me. So he stepped in and has been doing some phenomenal work on the train. I gave kind of the caveats with the issues we're having at the moment. Right now he's working on getting the lights working, because it does have lights in the front, which serve as an early warning system for the train, because it comes out of a dark tunnel. And the thing I think a lot of people get wrong about the train, and I've seen this in quite a few like terminal remakes over the last couple of Halo titles, something that people I think get wrong is that the train is not random. And if you've spent as many hours on the original map in the last couple months as I have, you will learn it's okay. So it is random, but it's not. There's strategy around not being hit by the train. Like, you can learn to play a lengthy match on this game and never be hit by the train. It is possible. I spent like a while staring at the train in the original map and calculating the frequency it moves at, how fast it moves, how frequently one car goes versus another, like a eastbound versus westbound car. I spent a lot of time. I documented all that in my fancy Excel file. And I watched for 15 straight minutes and counted every single train that went by in a 15-minute time span. In that time span, 62 trains went by. And out of those 62, 30 went eastbound and 32 went westbound, right? Which, if you know anything about statistics, that's a pretty strong indication to me that it's supposed to be 50-50. I'm sure if I waited around long enough, I'd have a couple more trains going the other direction and would balance out. That was enough for me to approximate that it was 50-50, like a chance of a eastbound train versus westbound. I also found that the number of seconds duration between each run of the train is also somewhat random. It runs, how long is this? 28.35. What a horrible number. Why would I do that? Let's just do 30. It is random, but it's random between 10 and 20 seconds. So a train will not come sooner than 10 seconds from the last train, and it will not come later than 20 seconds after the last train. So that's what I mean when I say there is strategy around the train, and you can learn to pay attention to it and know roughly when it's coming, right? So it's not random. Like, it's not entirely random. It's random within certain parameters, we'll say that. And once you kind of get a feel for those parameters, it becomes more of a strategy and not entirely random. So what is the thing that I see people get wrong with the train all the time when they remake this map? They make the train way too fast, is like the long and short of it. The train, it basically removes all strategy, okay? If the train is too fast. Because then it doesn't... In the original map, you have to make a decision often if you're playing close to the tracks. Do I break my line of sight with this other character, with this other player, and possibly lose this encounter with them to check for the train to see if the train's coming? Or do I risk it and keep my eyes locked on this other person and finish getting the kill, but run the risk of not checking for the train? Because you can see the train coming and move out of the way. Even, get this, if you're standing right outside of the tunnel, like there's a boundary, an immovable spot right here in the original map. You can't get any closer than this. the moment you see the headlights appear, you have time to move out of the way, even as close as you could possibly get here. Now, obviously, the further away you are when you see the headlights, the more time you have. It takes like a split-second reaction, but I have done it. Like, it is possible. So that tells you how much of a warning you have. And some of the other trains I've seen on this map, when they're recreated, I mean, the short answer is they just move way too fast, and it removes any and all strategy. At that point, you may as well just, like, pretend the track is electrified and just kill people at a random interval. The fact that it's a train that you can interact with is, I think, what makes it fun and what a lot of people tend to miss. So, the obvious question is probably, were we able to recreate that same functionality? And by we, I mean VidGames Pete. Was he able to recreate that functionality? So I gathered all the data and I gave it to him. And he was able to recreate it. So essentially, one train will go every 10 to 20 seconds. Never less than 10 seconds, never more than 20 seconds. And that train has a 50-50 shot every single time it's run of being a westbound train or an eastbound train. You never know which one. There's no forewarning for which way it's going to be. You just know it's 50-50 every single time. So yeah, he was able to match that functionality perfectly. So it isn't like on a timer. It's not on a rotation. It is random within those given parameters, right? Which I think is the best of both worlds. It has just enough randomness that it's unpredictable to an extent. But there is still some strategy involved. So huge props to VidGames Pete for figuring all that out. I helped him with the testing and with the troubleshooting and just the evaluation and strategizing around the train. So we have been in contact. We have been working together on it, but he has done all the grunt work, really, of getting that train working. So huge props to him. Check out his YouTube channel if you are into Forge and you're trying to learn more about scripting. He has some fantastic tutorials on there that I've used. And he knows his stuff. So huge props to him and a huge thank you for helping me out with this train. All right. I think this planner box is just about done. One thing I do need to do is move it in by a couple of units. You know what? I'm actually gonna prefab this with this back piece as the parent object. And now that I'm looking at it, it actually looks a little bit too narrow. Reggie9987, hey TechFox, I appreciate your content. I've been subscribed since Halo 2 Anniversary. Volleyball, oh man. That was a good one. I especially enjoy the gameplay and aesthetic effort you put into each map. I hope you're doing well. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. It's a nice thing to say. Yeah, that volleyball map was probably my second most well-known contribution to the Forge community beyond the Halo 5 terminal map. That one was just fun, and that was a good map and a good game type in that you immediately understood the rules and how to play. Even if you're like not familiar with volleyball, it was just one that geez. Dang it. It was just one that was easy to figure out, you know. I'm just gonna move this to the side and just do this one for now. So I think that's why it resonated with a lot of people and it got so popular, was just because it made sense, made sense to a lot of people. All right, what's going on here? You won't let me. I think I need to change the parent object to a smaller piece, which sounds really dumb, but it works. Okay, turn off the magnets, and this is 30, geez. It's 30 units from here to here, which means it needs to move 15 units horizontally, but this is a 45-degree angle. Gosh. I'm going to go ahead and make this a nice round number. So does that mean if I go 15 and 15, it'll be the same? Probably not. This is where trigonometry would come in handy. Let me think. How do I get the middle point of this? I lock it with the magnet to there, but there is no magnet in the center of this piece. So what I need to do is this. Take this. Then take that, duplicate. And then instead of 30, this will be 15. Make sure this is matched up perfectly. Doesn't look like it is. Actually, it needs to be right there. Okay. Now I have a magnet right there. And I'm actually going to change my object movement settings. It already is set to object. Oh, ha. I have the wrong piece as the parent object. I need to get that new piece I added. There we go. Now I should be able to magnetize right to the center. Right there. Turn off magnets. Remove that piece from the prefab. Delete that piece, and voila. We are perfectly centered. Let me get a note of these coordinates. Oh, what's the new... let me get the parent object back to... Oh, right there. The coordinates are... Okay. And I believe this was 614.2. It should be just below my line of sight, just like these other ones, which is exactly what it is on the old one, I assume, so you can duck down. All right, cool. If I were smart, I would have... Well, you know what? Yeah, no, it's fine. This dirt isn't as important as long as it's covered up inside there. I just want to make sure I get the depth right. The more I look at it, the more I think the planter box needs to come out more. I kind of want you to have room, though, to drive larger vehicles. You know what? I'm just going to leave it. Nice round number. Right. All right, now we'll get our grasses back in there. Now, I made sure in doing this, my vegetation, that only the plant life I use would actually be found natively in East Africa. I'm totally kidding, but it is something I do want to check because it has all the names of the plant life, and I you know, just want to double check, make sure these are actually plants and foliage that would actually be here appropriately. What did I have this set as? 45, okay, cool. So if I rotate it 90 degrees, my digits went away here, which is really annoying. And then rotate it 90 degrees. Right about there, 135. There, 90 degrees. Okay. Probably 2 more. $90 degrees. And 90 degrees. All right, here we go. That's pretty good. And then I add a little bit of tall grass in there, just kind of mix things up a bit. Nice. Just a little bit of variation there. Definitely helps. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of all this. These do make really good weeds, so I will probably use them elsewhere. Like between cracks in the concrete and stuff. But without unfortunately having it in front of me, I'm going to go ahead and assume this actually looks pretty close. I know it's got the Z fighting, or I guess it'd be like XY fighting there, but that's okay. That's all right. I did a lot of work on the lighting as well. I managed to find a volume that gives me the greatest possible light probe count. So as you can see, each of these data points calculates the reflections and lighting data for that spot. In here is a really good example. This wall here is dark gray. It's as dark gray as this wall here. But it looks orange. And that's a factor of the brightness of this light hitting this surface, and then how reflective this surface is, will then bounce more of that orange light off of itself. All right. You can see that captured in this little sphere right here. You see the orange lighting on it. So each of these is like a data point that more or less calculates what the lighting should be like at that location. As you can imagine, the more densely packed those are, the more accurate your lighting is going to be. I could show you locations where it doesn't look that great because it happens to cut off like right at a very inconvenient location, like inside this wall, for example. So you can see here, you get this kind of weird effect where like the side of this wall is not lit up appropriately. Now I am going to add lights in here that may overwhelm that light to a point where it's not visible. If not, I'll have to do some adjustment. The more densely packed you can make these, the better. But this is really as far out as I can go and still get accurate lighting. I could definitely condense it here if I brought in, you know, this, whatever it is, this alleyway, if I brought that in further. But it just looks so good, you know? I actually have lights that cross over through these beams and stuff. You can kind of see the gaps and everything. It makes this really cool lighting effect when the light crosses over it. You see these like slivers of light coming through. Anyway, so the light probes, that's huge. Really helps you get accurate lighting, and it helps things get really, really dark where they need to be dark. So you can see in here, there's no lighting in here, except I have left a little gap there just because I was messing with stuff and haven't needed to fill it. Other than that, and then you get these lights here. I put some like trim lights on the side here. There's really not much lighting in here, so you get these nice dark areas that are pretty well diffused. Then you get these really nice spill lighting in here. Anyway, that was one thing I spent a lot of time on too, was like really getting the perfect size for those light probes. Not going up too high, but the thing is, you could tell exactly where the light probes cut off, and it goes back to like pre-baked lighting. I guess this is baked lighting, but it calculates lighting without the probes. It's not super noticeable in some areas, but on like big blank surfaces you see it, like right here, especially like more reflective surfaces. So I tried to hide it in certain areas. Right here you can see it, you can see the line cut off. If I didn't point it out, you probably wouldn't have noticed it, but I see it. I see that line. Honestly, you don't really see much of it from down here, and you don't really see that one much either. So anyway, I could definitely do some more work on that, and see if I could possibly make them any more compact. I've gone as far out as I can this way, but anyway. All right, so that planter box is done. I did have all these tables and chairs in here, and all set to dynamic destructible physics, which was really fun. So you can come in here, you could throw a grenade, and the tables and chairs would just explode everywhere. And it was awesome. Super cool. The problem was what was that? You could actually see through that door. Bro, what the heck? What the garbage is this? The problem was that was way too many dynamic pieces, and we ran out of our dynamic budget. You have this overall simulation memory, but that really doesn't tell the whole picture. You have to go in here to your map options to look at what your different budgets are. Your FX count, when you basically start a game, just putting on like weapons and spawn, I don't think spawns count, but like weapons count is like effects, and the cameras, I think. Maybe not the cameras, but just like a base map with no smoke or rain or fire or anything on it, and you're already almost at 100%. So that's a soft boundary, a soft limit, and it also, from my experience, depends on how many of those effects you're trying to show on screen at once. So it lets you exceed that one, so I'm not too worried about that one. It's the dynamic budget here that we're worried about, because we were at 95%, and each of these arrows count toward that dynamic budget. Which the more arrows you have, the more accurate your train movement is, right? Folk Smash says, have a dark little alleyway black market action going on. Cheap train tickets, undetectable by New Mombasa police. Yeah, dude. It's meant to, I'm trying to still stick with like the Mombasa theme. Like, I would like you to believe that looking down this alleyway, you could easily see like a sniper jackal or something peering over the top. Which, honestly, I could probably do, because they have the jackal bodies. Wow, you've done a lot since I last saw a reoccurring theme. Yeah. Yeah, I don't... I like streaming, but I definitely get more done when I'm not streaming, so I don't have to explain what I'm doing, which I enjoy doing, but it's just a slower going process. Whoa, the alley has changed a ton. Yeah, I tried to make it look convincing, so... RIP car building. Yeah, car building's gone. This is just a storage thing. Generator, small. I scaled it up and put some windows on it, and now it's a building. And a door. I guess I haven't put a door. The door's right there. So I did put a... sound on it, a jackal distant. If you listen carefully, when you're standing here, you'll hear like jackal sounds down the alleyway, and you can just imagine the Mombasa theme kicking in, like from that level of Halo 2. It's impossible on Legendary Outskirts. That's kind of the feeling I wanted to invoke, you know. Try to get some of this more like traditionally like old world architecture in there with arched ways, and then obviously all this modern architecture built around it. Like this gate and this wall existed probably hundreds of years before these buildings on either side were put up. That's the idea I was going for, because that's the aesthetic of Halo 2. Now, I am working on a script for a video for this where I'm going to go into really deep detail on the lore and some of the aesthetic choices and things. I really had to decide on a theme because I wanted to be consistent across the whole map with like what I was going for. And it is like Halo 2, and Halo 2 on the Earth levels had such a unique style because it was future. And we've seen future cities, right? But I think what made it feel unique was the juxtaposition of like contemporary, sleek, metal, shiny architecture against traditional African design cues, right? And it's those two things right next to each other, where you have some buildings that are probably hundreds of years old next to like new skyscrapers, and you see some of that like African culture coming through. And I think that's what really made it feel unique, and not just like some new city, like future city map. That made it feel unique. The only other place I've seen that accomplished in a similar way is in some of Neil Blomkamp's movies. So District 9, Elysium, and Chappie. Some of those movies actually take place in Africa. Neil Blomkamp himself is actually a native South African. And he's a big Halo nerd. He was actually supposed to direct, back when there was going to be a feature-length Halo movie, he was supposed to direct it, but that fell through for whatever reason, and a lot of those assets got repurposed for District 9. But you can kind of see that like futuristic city with these African ties. So if I had to coin it something, I've been referring to it as Blomkamp punk, which, apart from just being really fun to say, is kind of really encapsulates what I'm going for. It's not just some generic future city. Like some parts of it are like these just generic skyscrapers and whatever. But there's also these kind of like the bazaar and kind of the thatched, like from the look of this building, obviously this is metal and this probably isn't even real wood, but it's like this like thatched roof looking thing with exposed beams. Like it's supposed to still, in this like giant like medallion sundial clock in Mombasa wood. That's actually the name of the wood texture here. So it's like future city, but it still pays homage and respect to the culture of the African area that it resides in. There you go. There's the lesson on where I got my aesthetic from. So I'm trying to be consistent with that everywhere. I want this to feel like a place you could wander into in the campaign in Halo 2. Rage 9987. We were robbed of that Halo movie. The trailer was absolute hype. Paramount needs to take notes. Yeah. We don't need to talk about the Paramount. We don't need to talk about that. I mean, as a Halo fan, a longtime Halo fan who's been waiting for like some sort of alternative media to explore the Halo universe, I'm just happy we got something. So, that's about it. I did watch the Last of Us, which is like a really good example of, I think, a great interpretation of a video game franchise. Looks like a cardboard box, doesn't it? Okay. I'm getting distracted. Let's get some work done. I really need to know I need weapon placements and spawns. I need to do a little bit more research on spawns. This is neutral for now. Yeah, I'm just going to leave the spawns alone for the time being. Folk Smash Last of Us is actually filmed where I live, which is really cool. I haven't watched any of it. That's cool. Yeah, it's great. It's really good. Yeah, it's fantastic. Man, where do I go? I know. I really need to seal off, like, this area here. This, like, bulkhead thing is slowly becoming my favorite piece. I've used it in so many places on this map. It's just so usable. Alright, come on. Yeah, I'll go right about there. Well, where is this? This is probably, yep, it's at the corner. That's the corner. Okay, cool. We'll call that 42, 48. That's cool. Gotta put the name on boss to zoo outside somewhere with a giraffe, then have the Last of Us sign with said giraffe on it. Yeah. I mean, they did have the Uplift Reserve in Halo 3 ODST, which I just discovered today actually makes a cameo appearance in a Halo Reach multiplayer map of all things. The recreation of Headlong Halo Reach, you can actually see the Uplift Reserve in the skyline, which I never noticed. All right, let me get this in here. It just kind of looks, well, if I could get these to line up, might not look too bad. Not really a fan of this gap right here. Just looks kind of weird. I don't know. Let's just keep going. Let's see how it turns out. Slap a trash can. Boom, fixed. Yep. Oh, I can't really expand it more, huh? Yeah, no. This might actually work pretty well. Let me see. Yeah. I don't think any of those have a spot you can measure from that's not on the very edge, so those don't really help me. It looks like this ridge in the center might actually line up pretty close. Base it off of that. Let's check 48 units. Too far. Yeah, no, it's definitely not the center. Do you have the Xbox 360 message sound effects as your text tone? No, it's the Xbox app telling me like people are online. But I just now realized it's like the same effect from the Xbox 360. So yeah, I guess in a way I do. Okay. Yeah, and I'll go 2 units bigger. That's good. I like to have some of these lines meet up. Well, I could go this way. Get it to line up with that leading edge there. I think actually I can get this to match even closer. If I do that. Right about there. Does it match on this side? No. That's pretty good. I also think these would look better as pillars and just meet up with all four, like on both sides. I have it blocked off with these simple pieces for now, just because I needed it blocked off for my nav mesh for my bots to navigate successfully. I'm like going back and forth on textures for this room here. I want it to be purple, but like just a hint of purple, right? And I want it to have a texture that does a couple of things. It needs to be repeatable up here. I like this one especially because it has stripes, and the original app had stripes in the texture, and if you're far enough away it looks like stripes. But it doesn't look inauthentically repeated. Now what I mean by that is if you have kind of this brick, the brick actually is okay, but you can kind of see this pattern show up in the brick over and over, which the brick is supposed to be more of an organic look, not organic, but more random. But there's enough different about the various bricks that you can see when the pattern repeats over and over. But when it's a texture that is intended to be repeated, it doesn't stick out. For example, the cobblestone. This is intended to be repeated because these are cobblestones that fit together. So when you see a repeating texture across the whole thing, it doesn't look weird because it's supposed to be repeating. You can cover up some of the repetitiveness with grime, which I think I did here a little bit. Coal, so if I add more and more coal, it adds kind of this more random layer to the top, which helps break up that repetitiveness. But of course, if you stretch your piece really far, like I did here, the texture comes across as like stretched out. So I want it just enough that it's kind of peeking through. Same here. There you go. And I guess same here too. All right. Let's keep going with name location volumes. Let's do that. So I have hotel here, which I put here. But didn't put it under here for some reason. Did I put a different one? I think I put a different one in here. Yep, right here. And that one covers just the first floor, which I think is good. That's fine. I think I'm going to expand it out a bit. Let me think. I think I'll just leave it like that. And how far out does it go? You could also see where my nodes, my light nodes end right here. Get the less accurate lighting on this side. Please don't change your channel name back to FoxyPapaSmurf. Yeah, except my normal content is more tech reviews. This is definitely a departure from that, but I just couldn't help myself. I'm having too much fun forging, so. Is this cafe? What did I call this? I call it cafe, but I feel like cafe is too big. Cafe currently is like here, here, and here. And I think that's too much. I think this is a good end to cafe here. And I think this is probably a good end to cafe here. Honestly, probably wherever this ends. Oh, it goes all the way over there. I guess that's fine. So this whole thing is cafe still. Cafe goes from there to there. And then I need one over here for whatever I want to call this section. I will go on the other side of this wall. Now, these named location volumes are really good for helping new players on your map learn the callouts. And also the bots communicate. They'll call out the locations that they're in. And it's required. There's a long haul. Should we do long haul? We'll do long haul. Is there a short haul? Because I think I'll do short haul here. Long haul there. No, there's not. It is kind of a haul. It is a haul, yeah. I think this whole thing being long haul is good. Sure, let's call it long haul. That's what you get for watching the live stream. You get to help me name stuff. Congrats. Yeah, it needs to be a bit bigger. Let's go, map credit. Yep, you earned it, Folk Smash. That's actually pretty perfect. Yeah, it's like literally perfect this way. It needs to come this way. Good grief, it's like literally perfect, exactly at 120 units. Okay, well, I guess we're done with that. Jeez. Bottom. We'll do 5. Yeah, alright. Well, that was the easiest one I've played so far. Now we need to do... long stairs. That is at 360.5. That staircase in Mario called the never-ending one. Yeah, basically. It is a relatively long staircase. Typically, probably don't want a staircase that long and uninterrupted, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. American Bloodhound, get him, dude. Yep. Just working away. There's a speed run glitch to skip that. Yeah, I've seen that on Super Mario 64, right? Alright, now I'll widen this out. 30, top, down to 29. I want to make sure this covers that as well. Actually going to bring this down just a bit. Bring this up to 100. Oh, that's going to go way more out. I'm actually going to go up to 630 and decrease the top down to, that's good. And then forward, we'll just stick at 110. Do 111? I'll do 111. You can actually move this way a touch. Move that out to like 36. Oh yeah, I gotta move the bottom down now to like 12, 20. Yeah, I think just going all the way to this wall is probably what we're gonna do. Now instead of 100 long, it'll be 120. That's good there. Let's go back to like 600. That's good. And then increase the length a little bit. 126, is that good? I'll bring this down to like 598. Not. It's not to be more like 592, and then I have to bring it over 34, and then increase the width to like 48. I increase the top by 2 now. Why is it at 24? Is it really 24? Oh, yes it is. All right, now, oh, this says cafe still, that's right. This has to change to long stair. And it makes sense that it's next to long hall. Long stairs. Long hall, cool. And I think this area right here kind of needs its own name, right? All right, let's get the position dialed in. Okay, well, that was easy enough. We'll call it 810. We'll call it 812. 814. Cool. Plants or pillars. That's a good one. to go here and here. I guess I can come out a little bit. Oh, I don't want it to cut into here, though. I haven't really figured out quite how to keep the name location volumes, like how to overlap them. It looks like this one's staying the same. I'm clearly passing into the other boundary right here, which should be like long stairs still, right? Yeah. I think it has to do with like cubed footage. Like whatever the smaller one is, it takes that one, because I think the intended use case is you set a big boundary like this, like I make all of this plaza, but then I make a small boundary called rock. So if someone's like standing right behind it or standing on top of it, you can call out rock specifically. But since this has a smaller cubed area, like with taking into the vertical height as well as like the square footage, I think whatever has the smaller area, the smaller volume, I should say, yeah, cubed area, the smaller volume takes precedent. I think this would make sense from a design point. You make a big boundary first, and then you cut the edges out for different areas after that, instead of trying to build a big area, making a bunch of tiny pieces so they don't overlap. They expect you to overlap them, and then the smaller one will take precedent, I think. I imagine if I make this big enough, it will, I mean, test my theory, it will change to long stairs. Because if you look in here, I was very clearly standing in this boundary. So I'm in hotel, and I walk up, and it changes to nothing. I think it has to do with the area. The idea being the smaller area is what you are trying to block off from the bigger area. I think that makes sense to me, if that's how they decided to do it. Alright, so I made the height a little bigger. I wonder if it takes precedent now. Hotel? No? Okay, well that's good, because I'm going to make this go all the way over here then, and just capture the whole thing. 156. And you said planters or pillars, back wall, though not the back wall. It was like the Halo 2 anniversary. Big green safe area was safe. You could put smaller kill volumes inside, and it would work like that. Meaning smaller kill volume inside would override larger, smaller. I think you're right. I think you're right. So I made it a little bit bigger now. Let's see, is it bigger? Oh, making it bigger, I think, wouldn't overwrite it. What's bigger, this one or this one? This top one looks... they're probably close. It's not overwriting it, though, so... I don't know. Alright, can make the width a little bit smaller. Go down to that. 97. All right. So what do we name it? Plants or pillars? I like pillars. Pillar. But there's more than one. We'll save that one. We'll come back. Let's keep looking. Secret tunnel. Small rock, sneaky. Yeah, I mean, was plants an option? I don't think it was. Planter would be the plant one, but yeah, it's not there. Let's start at the top and see if we find anything good. Armory, balcony, base, basement, beacon. Cove could work. Data, delta, deck, depot, dip, dock, door, drill, drill platform, dunes. Foxtrot, gallery, garden, gazebo, gulch, hall, hatch, hill, hole, hotel, house, jail. Ledge lift. Nook. Outpost outside, overhang, overlook, overpass. I have to be careful not to reuse some too. Yeah, I think. Oh, do they have columns? Probably not. No. Okay. I think we'll go with pillar. Pillar's fine. Good suggestion. I may come back later though, if I think of something. Yeah, jail could make sense, but that's right. Pillar. Long stairs. Perfect. Exactly how I wanted it. Long stairs takes precedence. Pillar, hotel. Yeah, stays hotel. Made it to the top floor. It switches to cafe. Yeah, weird how they only have the singular version. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird things. Hopefully they add some more named locations. Alright, now I need to do some cleanup for Plaza. Obviously I'm restricted to either a circle or a square. A rectangle, I guess. So I can't make it perfect. What I can do is select all of these and see where we're missing. I want this to be ramp though right here. Yeah, that could be ramp. And Plaza. It switches to loading dock, which is this here. Kind of doesn't make sense that these are cobblestone if a garbage truck or something's expected to back up here. But we're just not really going to think about it. Yeah, so I think that's what I'll keep doing. I'll keep working on name locations. I was literally just thinking that. We are nerds. Yep. Yep, you're right. There should be more asphalt to match that. trying to like think of a way to make it work, but no. It would need to be asphalt, but not gonna worry about it right now. I need this area over here named. I think I called it West Gate on this side, or sorry, East Gate, which means I should probably call this one over here West Gate, which kind of describes this outside area. The Pizza King. I haven't touched Forge since Halo 5. Where's Infinite's Forge in terms of polish and stability? That's a good question. I'd say it is definitely a beta, as they said. They didn't lie about that. It kind of depends on what kind of user you are. So for the more casual person wants to make some minor adjustments to an existing map or make like a simple mini game or something, or a simple like arena map, it's great. No complaints. You know, there's a couple bugs here and there, but nothing bad. If you're a power user who, you know, hates yourself and wants to recreate an entire big team map in Forge with a moving train, because you just like to hurt yourself, then it can be very frustrating. So it kind of depends. With this most recent update, it fixed a lot of things. It also broke a couple of things, but overall a big improvement. Yeah, not really a lot to complain about. It's good. It's really good. Yeah. How far out does this come? I think it should come to the window. And hopefully it doesn't take over. The other location volumes. Folk Smash is 343 level of polish and stability. Yes, this can mean anything. It's 343 LOL. The Pizza Gang, I more or less fall under power user. Yeah, so there's nuances that you learn to work around. And I've spent, gosh, hundreds of hours making this map at this point. For example, earlier in the stream, I needed to get this planter box lined up with this pillar perfectly. There's no magnet here on the center. So I had to magnetize from one of the ends. Normally you could use a grid, but this is a 45-degree angle, which is just going to kind of be tricky to figure out the exact midpoint for that. Obviously you could do it, but it's easier to just make another piece that's half the length of this one, and then it has a magnet on the end. I can magnetize to it, move it up, or whatever. Also, if you stretch objects so they're drastically different from their native, I call it aspect ratio, then they don't magnetize well. For example, if I take this piece here, oh, here's one. I'm already looking at a bug right now. My like position, rotation, and size data, after a little while in Forge, it just stopped showing. So if I want to rotate this to a perfectly straight up 90 degree, now I can eyeball this and get a pretty good idea like that. I think it should tell me there, but it doesn't right now. So I have to go in here and be like, yeah, it is. It is perfectly straight up and down. But here's another little bug that's really annoying. So if we want to magnetize, I can magnetize there. If I make this too long, watch it, like, I'll go 60. Of course, it just works perfectly. Ha! Okay. So I made it too big. I have magnets on. They are not working. When you make an object big, like a certain amount bigger than its native size, then it stops working correctly. So what I would need to do is take the object from the origin point, modify it to a point where I can change the size without affecting how it's going to be attached. So I decrease this down to 10 units, and now when I turn on magnets, magnets work. I then turn the magnets off and put this back at the size I want. If I try to do it at this size, doesn't work. No magnets. Turn magnets off, make it 10 units. Now magnets work. Then I set it 120 units. Like that. So there's like all these little things that if you use it a ton, frustrate you, and then eventually you figure out a workaround, and then you kind of forget it's a problem. And then some things they fixed, and I didn't even know they fixed it, and because I've been doing certain workarounds and stuff. I'd say it's good. Now that's coming from someone who I haven't dove into the scripting as much. I've done some of it for simple things, but doing things like this moving train is fairly complicated. We got these 3 script brains here to contain all the logic that's needed to make that work. You can see it's fairly robust scripts, you know. Those are buggy. And what's really frustrating is you don't always know if it's an issue with the way you created your logic and the way you structured your scripts and everything. If you placed a variable in the wrong spot or referenced the wrong thing, it could not work, or it could be perfectly accurate, like it's correct logically. It's just broken inexplicably. And you don't realize that until you like save it as a prefab, delete, like end the game, come back into it, paste it as a prefab, delete it and paste it as a prefab, and then it works. You literally change nothing. You just save it, delete it, put it back in, save it, load it, and then it works fine. So that can be very frustrating when you're making these really complicated scripts and you're like, okay, is this actually an issue with the way I've set this up, or is this just like being dumb? So, like I said, it depends on where you fall on that spectrum. If you're like a really hardcore power user, especially the scripting and stuff, like the bugs are definitely going to bother you. But if you're determined enough, you'll just kind of push through them and just figure out a workaround for stuff. Pizza King, any magnets repositioning, or lack of a better word, custom magnets. Yeah. I did notice, though, someone pointed this out, or maybe I found this one on my own. The magnet's magnetized to wherever you're looking. When you're trying to magnetize something and you have a bunch of points really close together, you just kind of move your cursor around as you're magnetizing, and it will change which magnet it's like attracted to, which is cool. All right, let's put this at like 250. I want it to go 250 all the way up to the side of that window. Let's do 812. And we'll bring it up to 256. So this is Plaza. I'm actually gonna bring it to the right. I'm gonna increase this size by 4 and make it 260, and move it to the right 2, which means going negative on the X to 614. Should still hopefully match up perfectly with this wall. If it does. Okay, so this should all be Plaza in here. Just want to make sure it didn't overwrite my rock. Okay, still says rock. Very good. Did it overwrite loading dock? It did not. Very good. Stage should still be the same. I call this stage. I don't know. Kind of looks like a stage. What's over here? Rock. Oh yeah, I repurposed rock. Let me rename that real quick. This is Westgate, because this is the west side of the map. Westgate. Very nice. Plaza. And this is actually west, by the way. So if you look, that's north, kind of northwestish. And this is west, east. Westgate Hotel, very good. And nothing here. It may have to come over a little bit more. Pillar. Plaza. Yeah, like right here. There's nothing. And grab that and this. And this. And this. Yeah. Scripting is kind of my forte, the Pizza King. I've been working with 2007 Crisis Editor for the last few years. Oh, cool. And it has a similar tool called FlowGraph, which is basically Forge scripting, albeit with more primitive UI. Nice, that's pretty cool. Folk Smash, Easter egg, get on the turret on stage, look straight up, and only then at the angle you get a button prompt, hold X to start concert. Chairs rise up for the spectators, a brute Craig rises. Nice. Yeah, and all the lights dim and flash different colors. With a microphone to sing, only for Jackal Sniper up by the hotel sign to snipe him at the end. Nice. Yeah, that that would be quite the job. Like I said, I had to enlist some help with the scripting. I had a fairly good grasp on it in Halo 5, but it would take me a long time to get up to speed to a point where I was confident doing a train like in a production setting where people are actually going to be using it for like matchmaking. That's my ultimate goal. Like if I can get this into matchmaking, that would be ideal. All right, 1 second. I'm just gonna show a text real quick. All right. I remember when Martian Mall Cop was like the only dude on Earth that people would call for scripting and help in Halo 2 Anniversary. Yeah, cool to see. Naturally, the scripting knowledge has grown, and more than yeah. Martian Mall Cop, like he had some really cool stuff. One person can do it. Much more complicated now too. Yeah. A lot of potential, but it is buggy, which can be frustrating when you're trying to do something complicated and you don't know if it's a bug or if it's something wrong with what you made. That's where it gets frustrating. You know, I think I'll widen this a little bit. I called this pillar. I'm actually going to bring it out a bit. See if that covers the gap. Not quite. Although I think I can make Plaza bigger. Wow, let's make this like 70. Like 80. And bring this out to like 184. Alright, now let's see how that looks. We got this, we got this, we got this, we got this. Okay, so this lines up like perfect with that. I think that's good. I think that should cover everything. I'm going to move Westgate over just so there's a little overlap. Yeah, like 1 unit. All right, let's see. Westgate Plaza. Westgate Hotel. Westgate. Still says Westgate here, which is a little odd, but that's a very tiny spot for it to show up as. I kind of feel like it needs to come out to the edge of this. Yeah. Because this isn't really going to be used as a callout very often unless... Yeah. And then we could also make this out by 90 and move to the right by 5, which would be 179. We'll just do 180. 178. How about that? The Pizza King. I also messed with game type scripting Halo 4. That was a lot of fun. It's a slightly more advanced version of Megalo scripting from Halo Reach, and all modded on the Xbox 360 console. Very cool. Oh, did Westgate take over from here, though? Cafe. It did not. Ha! Very nice. Hotel. That's good. Good. It's good. Good. Cafe. All cafe. Very nice. Very, very nice. Logan. 10 grunts versus 100 humans. Human 8 graders. Who wins? No weapons. I say grunts. Grunts are surprisingly big. I went to Halo Outpost Discovery a couple of years ago, like, pre-COVID, and they had like kind of life-size dioramas, kind of, and it is shocking how big the characters are in real life. It's easy to forget when you're like a walking 8-foot tall, 1,000-pound tank, and you can just like cave their heads in with a punch. You forget. They seem small and like fragile and whatever, but like they're like as tall as me. Like with the little thing on their back, like they're big and they weigh like 300 pounds or something. So, yeah. Folk Smash, gotta go. The hour flew. Thanks, and keep doing the thing, making the map, forging stuff. Awesome, man. Yeah, see you later. The Pizza King, do the callout volumes use a weighting system in cases where they overlap? That is an excellent question, and that is the first thing I looked for, was I forget what they call it. Like, it's like a channel, like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, basically. Like, obviously the higher in the alphabet, the more priority it takes, right? I think they call it like a spawn order, and you can use it that way. That's the first thing I looked for. It did not have it. Nothing. What I think is happening is the smaller the volume, the greater priority it has. With the intention being, you have a big area like Plaza, right? And then I want to add a small one called Rock. I think they realize you want to make the big areas first and then do cutouts of a big area with smaller volumes. And so the smaller the overall volume, like literal volume of the volume, the more precedent it takes. But I've seen a couple of exceptions that don't really follow that rule, but that's kind of the behavior I've noticed so far. Yeah, that is kind of an oversight, and I can't help but think there were named location volumes in Halo 5, and I believe that had a weighting system, and they just used spawn order. And like 0 obviously they were all default to 0, but you can increase the spawn order to basically lower the priority. But yeah, Westgate Hotel. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it just happened to work out perfectly here, where I wanted hotel and cafe the priority, then Westgate, then like loading dock, and then plaza. It literally just happened to work out that way. There's a couple other areas where it doesn't quite work that way. So for here example, I call this piece the like catwalk. I believe maybe I call it tram. I don't remember. East catwalk. I wanted an east and a west, and catwalk was like the best I could find. It does kind of seem like a catwalk, but yeah. And then this is bent over here. But if you look here, there's this, which is pretty big, and this, which is also big, but definitely smaller. Yeah, there's no way that is bigger in volume without looking at the actual coordinates. Like, it's as tall, but it's not as long, and it's not as wide. So there's no possible way this one is a bigger volume. But as you can see, if I walk on the track, you'll see it change from east. Okay, I'll do it again. You'll see it change from, oh, there's the arrows in the way, east catwalk to overpass, which is what I call this. So overpass, oh, that does make sense, actually, because overpass is smaller. Yeah, so it's a little confusing. I think they tried to make it intuitive, which in a way it is. The smaller volume, the more precedent it takes. Then you get situations like this where you kind of want the bigger one to still take precedence. Because I am in the overpass volume, but specifically I'm standing on the track, which is more important to call out. But that actually does make sense. So I was mistaken there. It does actually make sense, that specific instance. So out of just experience, I don't know this for sure. I looked it up on forums and stuff, and I couldn't find a definitive answer. I believe it's just the overall volume is what. So actually, that means if I increase the height of this to like 500, that should definitely be more volume than this one. And maybe East Catwalk will... Ha! That is how it works. That is how it works. It is strictly size that determines... Yes. Okay. So that's kind of a little trick then. If you want to override it and it's set up in a certain way, you can increase the volume size. Obviously, I don't care if this goes 500 units or goes 1,000 units. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. But making it bigger lowers its priority. There you go. I think we figured it out. So thanks for asking. So now this remains East Catwalk. Okay, that bit of knowledge actually helps me quite a bit because I did not understand that when I first started doing this. And so I have been trying to build multiple volumes, but I think with the size of this one, what did I call this? West Yard. I want to make sure this overlaps just a touch. It does. Perfect. I think I can confidently make this pretty tall, and everything else around it will be smaller. So I can make this 200 units, right? And now everything else should take precedence around it. West Catwalk. If I fall down, it becomes West Yard. West Yard is like the big volume over here. Trench. Oh, I forgot I named this one. Yeah, that works. Trench. This is still Trench. West Street. Hill. Yeah. Okay. It's definitely sticking up through the ground right here. So it should be saying West Yard here based on that one. But since it's so much bigger, I mean, it is an oversight, but at the same time, if you understand the way it works, it's fairly easy to organize around it. Not even around it, but just like, as long as you know how. It's when I didn't know how it worked at the beginning where it was frustrating. But now that I know how it works, like, it's actually like not a bad system by default. Now, they should absolutely add a spawn order to override that. And if they're on the same spawn order, like 0 and 1 and whatever, then you default to the size precedence, right? But if you change the spawn order, that should take priority. Like, you go off the spawn order to determine the priority first, and then if they have a matching spawn order, then you look at the volume size. That'd be a better way to do it. But honestly, this isn't bad. It's not bad. And by default, that's how you're usually going to use them, is you're going to... yeah, so you have all these volumes here to try to, like, encapsulate this hill here. Yeah, I don't think I need that many now that I know how it works. Yeah. Yeah, I could probably get by with like 2. Probably get by with even less, honestly. All right, I'm going to keep working. Oh, let's see, the Pizza King. Yeah, and at the very least, it would help users coming from older versions of Forge. Yeah, I understand why they did it that way. It is actually intuitive, because just building my volumes, I did notice they were oddly, like, taking priority appropriately. And I thought maybe it was, like, the order I was putting them in. But I'd come back, like, much later and add, like, a big volume, and it would, like... It works very well just by default. Like, it makes some certain priority, and it's... I was like, it has to be based on size or something. So yeah, it is size. So yeah, adding the spawn order is definitely a must, because there's going to be situations where you can't make the size bigger like that, especially with like a multi-level map, like it's very vertical. You're not going to be able to just increase the size infinitely to override that. So they definitely need a spawn order to determine priority first and then default to size. Okay, well, I think I'm going to call it night. I'm actually going to keep forging, but the stuff I'm going to do now is going to be pretty mundane, not, in my opinion, worth forging. I'm sure some of you would still probably like to stick around, but, you know, I got to make some phone calls, go to the bathroom, and do some less entertaining stuff in the meantime. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I am really aiming to get a beta version of this out by the end of the month. I'll have all of the lighting data, nav mesh, audio, and reflection volumes rendered so that there's no dirty data. And I will publish a beta version and at the same time create a way to submit feedback, right? So, yeah, anyway, more info to come on that. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you guys next time.